let's go through a few of these. I'm going to do my best here to zoom in. I can't do too much or I'm going to lose my space. Oh, it actually starts getting smaller. All right. So if you can't see this, just open up your own workbook. I'm on page 135, chapter 24, and I'm going to work on practice question number 28 with you. Okay. All right. So question 28 or practice question 28 is radiological examination of the eye for foreign body. So we're got a lot of information here, right? And this is the type of information or type of documentation that you will be when you're asking yourself, what did the doctor do, right? When you got a big chart note, we don't need to know everything about that case. We just need to know what the patient's problem was and how did that doctor manage it, right? So in this scenario, we've got a radiologic exam. That would be what the doctor did. Okay. And I don't know why my books keep doing this, so I do apologize. I don't think I'm going to highlight anything today because that seems to keep giving me problems. All right. Patience. All right, here we go. So we've got a radiologic examination action, right? Remember, CPT codes are all about services and procedures, right? So got that part. Check. Anatomical site, right? We got to know what area this procedure is being performed on so we can get to that particular subsection. We know it's the eye. Okay. So I'm thinking, well, my eyes are in my head. They might have their own section, but we might be just looking in the head section for that x-ray. Now, little extra detail here. It says for foreign body. Okay. So now they're telling us, hey, we had to do this x-ray on the eye because there was some kind of foreign body in there. All right, so now I'm wondering, I wonder if there's going to be a descriptive code that represents the foreign body. I don't know, right? But we're going to go find out. So a couple different ways you can go about this. Now, remember when in the original video how I was referring that you have an index, right? And if you go to your index, everything is, I'm so sorry, this keeps happening to me. In your index, everything will be either listed by um, procedure type, right? That would be a main term. It could be listed by anatomic site or even the condition of the patient. So let me open up my book again. And by the way, if this happens to you, guess what? It's happening to me too. And sometimes I just have to log out and I have to log back in, which is not actually what I'm interested interested in doing right now because I'm trying to. All right, so we could start in our index, right? By asking ourselves what the action is, or we could, which would be an x-ray, or radiologic examination as they're describing it. We could even start at the anatomic site of the eye and go from there. So let's just play around a little bit and just check it out, right? So we're in our index. Now, again, everything's alphabetical. If you want to make this a little bit bigger, just collapse the table of contents, okay? And then let's go two different ways. I want to show you a couple different routes. So if we started with the I, since E comes before X, right? Let's go there first. So if I scroll through my index, and I know one thing that really bugs me, gotta say, about this index is it doesn't really have any drop down list where it's like A through B is on this page. You really do just have to kind of like scroll or click. But I'll show you a different way, but when you control F, which will be my next way to show you, just know that when you pull up, if you were to search for the word I, every single entry for the word that has the word I in it, EYE, will be listed for you, right? So again, you got to know what you're looking for because you're going to be given a lot of options, right? And we want to narrow those options. So, okay, let's start with the I. I'm in my index. That is one way we can look up a code. So when you're looking up in your index, and if you're to look under the anatomic site, then what's going to happen is it's going to list every type of procedure that can be performed on the eye. Now I see EV, Almost there. Let's try maybe the next page. Oh, now we're in the F's. Okay. Let's go back one page. And let's just scroll. All right. So now I'm using the mouse and I'm pulling down on the page so I can go a little bit faster here. Here we go. Actually, I think this is probably the best bet versus using the bar across the bottom of the screen, but I'll leave that to you. All right. You will find what works best for you the more you get comfortable with your book. There we go. Okay. Notice here it says I. All right. So everything listed underneath of I are all the types of services that can be performed on your eye. So now I need to look for a what? An X-ray, right? Um, so just a little skim here. Once you get to I, then it starts alphabetically, the services that can be performed. So you've got I, age-related study, aspiration, biopsy, chemodenervation, destruction, diagnostic monitoring services. Okay. And then I did see that there was a X-ray up there, okay? But just to give you that whole list, scraping, shunt, transplant, all of those things. Eye exam, eye exercise, eye socket, right? So again, it gets pretty detailed. But the cool thing is that once you find the code that you're interested in and you want to read the entire description, all you have to do is take your mouse, hover over the blue code, boop, I love that. Boop, here I go. And now I am looking at that code in the tabular section. So by clicking the code in the index, it pulls me right over to where I need to be in my tabular list so I can read that code in its entirety. And here we go. Radiologic examination, I. All right, so there's our service, there's our anatomic site, and even for what? For detection of foreign body. There you go. So your code in this particular scenario is going to be 70030. 70030 represents the terms, the definition, radiologic exam, eye, foreign body. Okay. And that's it. That's your code. All right, let's look up another one. So remember how I said that inside your CPT book, everything is listed like head to toe most of the time. So the next one is radiologic examination of the ribs. Okay, so X-ray, anatomic site, rib. Now, little extra details like the cherry on top. Unilateral, so uni is one, so they're saying one side, two views. Okay, those are our extra details. That's going to get us to that most precise code. Now, since I'm in my tabular list and I know everything runs from head to toe, I could, and again, I'm right here with my mouse. I'm going to grab this bar and I'm just going to start dragging and start looking for the next anatomic site. There's chest. Okay. So my ribs are in my chest, right? So I could just start looking around in this area in my tabular section. Radiology X-ray codes are pretty straightforward. It's typically just going to be one view, two view, three or more views, bilateral, unilateral, pretty self-explanatory. And as far as the descriptions go. So another way that you could skim your book. We just scrolled right now to the chest section, and then the first code I found was or excuse me, not the first code I found, but as I skimmed, I found that it went chest, and then it went two view chest, three view chest, four or more views. Now, something I want to show you, and I'm going to make this full screen really quick because this is very, very important. Okay. When codes have and I'm going to use this 71045, okay? When there are multiple different ways that the same service can be performed, and in this scenario, how many views were performed, okay? You're going to see that when you look at 71046, it only says 2 views. So it doesn't include the original description of the service. They do this for space saving. So how do you know that this is a part of another service like the same service but a different description? Do you see 71045? When you read radiologic examination, comma, chest, right after the word chest, there is a semicolon. That is your clue to stop. That everything up to that semicolon is the base description of the service. Chest, x-ray, boom. But there's different views. You can take more than one view of a chest, right? But remember how I was talking about it in my first video, how every single code tells, if you've got different levels of a service, right? That's going to be different levels of reimbursement. So if I do a chest x-ray and I have 3 views, well, that's going to, number one, is going to be at a higher reimbursement. And, right, it also has its own code to represent that amount of views. It doesn't change the base procedure. It was still a chest x-ray, but it was a 3-view chest x-ray, right? So you're like, okay, now I get it. So always, when you see a semicolon, just know that anything after that semicolon is a variation of that standard service. So a 2-view is a variation of the 71046 2-view is a variation of 71045. Same base service, just a different type of it. 2 views, 3 views, 4 views, etc. Okay. Just remember the semicolon is very important because it separates the base procedure from the specific approach, specific quantity, right? Because all of those things are going to give you that additional piece of information that makes it its own specific unique code. Our service was unilateral 2-view rib. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in my book here a little bit here. And then we can see after all of your chest codes, the next code range that comes up is representative of the ribs. 71100, radiologic exam, anatomic site rib, detail unilateral, stop, semicolon tells you that is where the base service ends. Anything that comes after that semicolon is a unique variation of that service. So here we go. 2-view. The next one says including posterior anterior chest, minimum 3 views. Unless your documentation says that they did a posterior anterior chest, then that's not your service. You code what was based off of the description that you were provided. So, and for number 30, your answer would be 71100, and that represents ribs, one side, 2-view x-ray. All right. So index, great starting point. Find the main term for your procedure, or go to your anatomic site and then look for all the services that can be performed on that anatomic site. I prefer to just always search by service, by procedure description, or by anatomic site. And then of course you can search by condition, remember, like abscess, hernia, whatever, but that would be like 3rd option to my recommended top 2. All right. Let's keep this going, right? I like to make my videos about 30 minutes, so I'll probably do about 2 or 3 on this one, or 2 or 3 more. All right, let's look at the next one. I'm going to do number 32. Okay, a little bit different here. Now we have a computed tomography of the thoracic spine. Okay, so CT is the abbreviation for computed tomography. Okay, so that is a procedure. A CT is a specific type of machine. And then, okay, so we're using a computed tomography on what part of the body? Okay, the spine. What specific part of the spine? the thoracic spine, right? Because we got a big old spine, right? There's your C spine, which is your cervical spine. You got your lumbar spine, your thoracic spine. So all those details level up to the best code possible. So now we're looking at a CT or computed tomography of the thoracic spine. Now you know the very specific anatomical site, and then detail of without contrast. Contrast material is something that physicians can may utilize sometimes to give them contrast material. Basically, like blurs out other darkens certain images and then allows other images to be stimulated or highlighted by the contrast material so they stand out more. All right, so in this scenario, let's do something different. What if we did just use the search feature? Okay, we can do that. So what if I just copy this and said computed tomography of the thoracic spine? Don't do any commas. And then just hit search. Oh, said it couldn't find anything. Okay, what if we just try? There we go. All right, so now it's going to pull up everything related to computed tomography. As you can see, 213 entries. Not my favorite way to look up codes in the digital code books. But again, once you know what you're looking for, remember how all the codes have different, or excuse me, your CPT book is broke down into different sections: surgery, and then you've got like nervous system. So, and then auditory system. Oh, and then we start getting into your radiology. And I'm like, okay, all right, this feels more like what we're looking for. Radiology, here's thorax, tomography. Oh, here's one, tomography, cervical spine. Oh, sweet. Okay, here we go. So before we capture this code this way, again, I went a little fast, so I want to show you something. When I just used the search feature, when I put up the whole section of the thoracic spine, it was like way too much. We can't find what you're looking for. That's fine. Let's narrow it back some. So now I know computed tomography is a radiology procedure. So I know for sure I wouldn't want to look in the nervous system because that would be surgical, and radiology is not surgery, right? And again, nervous system, that's still in my surgery section. We don't want that. We know we're doing radiology. So I at least need to come down. And again, this is all bold black here, right? So this right here tells me I'm in a different section. Now I'm in my radiology section. And then I can scroll through here, and there is computed tomography, thoracic spine without contrast material. Fantastic. Let me just click on it. And when I do, look what happens. It takes you right over to the tabular section where that particular code description is housed. Now, again, if you want to get out of here, so there we go. What is going on? You would just need to, again, you have to like come all the way up here and click X, and then it'll expand your screen again. All right, so if we want a CT scan or computed tomography, thoracic spine without contrast material, we would be selecting 72128, and that would represent your exercise number 32. So again, you're just identifying what body part, what organ, what structure is being treated or managed, and how is it being managed by CT scan, by an ultrasound, and then little details like one view, two view, without contrast, with contrast. All of those little extra details are like your little cherry on top, right? But you're going to build on that. It always starts out with identifying what the service was or anatomic site the service is being performed on, and then you just build from there until you get to that final level of coding. All right, let's do one more here. Let's do I want to do something different. I'm scared to change the pages because every time I do, it kicks me out of the book. And it did it again. I don't know why this is happening to me. Not today. Hmm. Maybe if I just go here. There we go. Much better. All right, let's do one more. We just did a CT scan one. I don't want to do that. All right, let's do number 42, and this will be the last one for this practice. We have a unilateral selective pulmonary angiography. Okay, so angiography, that's going to be a service, right? That's a procedure. So graphy is the recording of something. Angio is going to be your arterial vessels, okay? Pulmonary is the specific um, artery, okay, that's being um, having an image of it recorded. And then it says supervision and interpretation report radiology service only. Okie dokie. So guess what we can do? We could just start off with the pulmonary angiography. Go right here to your search, then search. Now that doesn't make no sense because I know that this exists. All right, that's okay. Trial and error. And I don't mind keeping the trial and errors in there because uh, we got to learn how to navigate our books. And so let's go to our index. Right. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on my index. And then from here, I'm going to go straight to my A's and I'm going to go to angiography. Scroll through, allergy, getting close, amputation, anastomosis. Doo, doo, doo. There we go. Now, please tell me why when we searched up and search for the word angiography, nothing came up, but it's literally right there in your index, right? Anyways, anyways, we got there, we got there. And then from here, right, we just need to find pulmonary. Here we go. So now you've got pulmonary artery, right? So if you weren't sure what angiography is, remember I just mentioned that angio is going to be arteries, and so they're doing some type of recording, some type of imaging of that particular artery. And then all you got to do at this point, that is all you're going to be able to capture from your index, okay? If you want details on supervision, interpretation, those details, now we're going to be looking in the tabular section where the full code description resides, and then you'll be able to confirm that. Okay, so come on, click. There we go. X out of there. And this takes us right over to the tabular section where the code description is. And now I'm looking for the rest of those details. I'm looking for um, unilateral. So I've got angiography, pulmonary. There we go. 75741. Angiography. Yep. Pulmonary, check. Unilateral, yes. So I'm looking at every single word that I've been supplied in that practice exercise. And I want to make sure that I'm not leaving any details out. And I'm also making sure that I'm not adding things that aren't in that description. Okay. So check, check. And now what else do we need? Supervision and interpretation. There it is, 75731. Got your angiography. You've got your, no, not 75731. I just lost it. Oh, there it is, 75741. My bad. Angiography, pulmonary, unilateral, selective, radiological supervision and interpretation. Whew. All right. And that's it. That's it, folks. So a couple different ways that you can look up codes, but again, at the end of the day, no matter what you do, you got to make sure you end up at the tabular section so you can read that code in its entirety and just make sure it's the right one and the right fit for you and your scenario. All righty. That's it. I will, as we continue through the program, through this course, you will find more practice coding material every week from me, and everything will be based on the body system or services or whatever you're learning about for that particular week. Alrighty? All right. If you have any questions, always reach out to me. I'm happy to support. And you guys have a great day. I'll see you in the next episode.